What's up, guys? We have a brand new interview with the Sparking Zero producer. This more than likely will be one of the last ones because the game comes out in a month or so. So yeah, we're gonna be going over that interview today. A bunch of brand new stuff coming out from the demo and a lot of features that seem to be coming out soon in the near future. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. Let me know in the comment section below which character you guys are the most excited to play in Sparking Zero, because mine is obviously going to be Goku Black. And as always, huge shout out to the Black Squad, Goku Black Squad. Thank you guys so much for being part of the channel, being here every single video. You guys are flipping awesome. Let's go ahead and jump into the interview. For Dragon Ball fans, the wait for the release of Sparking Zero has become a game in its own right. Each trailer released by Bandai Namco ends with a table of playable characters that turns out to be larger and larger, a hive of hexagons that is populated with new fighters, like the fog of war of a war game that thins out as the release gets closer. Who will they announce this time? 72 blanks are missing, then 50, 36, and so on of predictions and theories, some more obvious and others more creative, will rarely be there. This space at the bottom must be for Goku as a child, and the characters of Dragon Ball GT, Ultimate Gohan, and Majin Buu were among the most predictable candidates to appear at Gamescom after the latest trailers focused on the Saiyan, Frieza, the Cell arcs, respectively. A trailer with the flavor of a filler episode, waiting to know which fighters will be available at launch, which will arrive with future DLCs, and which, on the other hand, will remain on the bench. Ultimate Gohan vs. Majin Buu. The Dragon Ball Sparking Zero that Bandai Namco brought to Gamescom 2024 contained a handful of new characters among those confirmed in the last couple of months, including Ultimate Gohan and Majin Buu. Great inclusions into this game in all his transformations. In the time we had, we sank our teeth into the battle mode, experimenting with various combinations of characters, snooping through their techniques, and trying out all their explosive special moves. The amount of details and goodies designed specifically for fans is off the charts. The set of animations of Ultimate Gohan differ sharply from that of other versions of the character, referring to the attacks and movements seen in the anime during its prolific story arc. For Buu, it's the same, drastically changing his arsenal moves depending on the chosen transformation. From the explosive pink aura to the devastating Majin Ray, passing through the flurry of donuts, the attack of Kamikaze Ghost, or the ability to turn the opponents into a candy, the most powerful villain in Dragon Ball Z is perhaps also among the most fun to see and play, which Majin Buu has always been one of the best ones, especially the absorption technique, which I'm not exactly sure if they're going to be adding it to this game as a base move for any of the Majins, especially the Majin Buu that we get before Buu-Tanks, and Buuhan. So I'm not exactly sure if there's going to be that type of absorption and transformation, but that's something that I would love to see for at least that version of Majin Buu, the one that destroys all of humanity. If they find themselves fighting against a specific opponent, many characters have introductory scenes, jokes, but also unique battle animations that exactly echo the choreography of the cartoon. This is the case of those most iconic pairings of the anime and manga, such as Gohan as a child against Cell, Trunks from the future against Frieza, or Goku Super Saiyan 3 against Majin Buu. So there's going to be very specific Easter egg type of animations. It seems like battle animations during the fights between certain characters, and I'm hoping that there's really cool dialogue with that, as well as dialogue like we had in Fighters during the story arc, where certain characters knew each other or remembered each other or heard about each other and kind of had mini conversations that were filled with lore. We had a lot of that with Fighters and Kakarot, where we got a lot of lore inclusions. From Kakarot, one of the most famous ones, where we got to know exactly how Krillin asked Android 18 out originally for the first date. So there's a lot of stuff they can add to this that could bring out more lore in Dragon Ball. Body swapping. The focus is not limited to specific matches or the most popular fighters. Just select any character to find some detailed design specifically to titillate fans. Captain Ginyu's most powerful technique is body swapping, and for the first time in the series, this ability allows you to effectively reverse places with your opponent, taking not only their body but also their energy bar. Before doing so, Ginyu can also decide to inflict damage on himself to leave the enemy with a threat of life, but clearly this is a very risky strategy. So what this is kind of explaining is that, I mean, we've had the body swap before, I believe in Budokai Tenkaichi 3, like a sense of it, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I'm pretty sure we did. But we didn't have the ability to hurt ourselves, which is exactly what happens with Ginyu, where he basically mortally wounds Goku and then switches bodies back, giving Goku a more messed up body. So this is something that's very interesting, but it could be a double-edged sword. I can see Ginyu being one of those characters that's going to be very difficult to play depending on the playstyle and if you want to master that body switching technique. The icing on the cake is the fact that after getting hold of the opponent's body, Ginyu can attack and defend himself, but he cannot use the special abilities, a clear reference to when in the anime and manga, he proves unable to take full advantage of Goku's body. And to hell with balance for the developers of the game, it is clear that in a chapter of Budokai Tenkaichi series, returning an authentic experience full of surprises for fans is most important than having balanced or fairly playing characters, meaning that all the characters are balanced the same, and so you can win with anybody against anybody, similar to how Budokai Tenkaichi 3 was and Budokai Tenkaichi 2. Like, you could play as any of the characters and really win. Some characters had more health than others, but that was basically it. So as long as you're fast on your feet and you can take out their health, you are fine. I'm hoping that's the case here, and certain characters like the Super Saiyan God characters should have a little bit more health than other characters. Worlds that are destroyed. Since the announcement, Bandai Namco has emphasized how much the destructibility of these scenarios has been significantly amplified in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, with combat effects transforming the map as the battle progresses, so energy waves can burn the grass of a hill or tear mountains and buildings to pieces, even changing the entire appearance of a setting. If Majin Buu's planetary burst is used on planet Namek, the ground shatters and fills with lava, mutating into its devastated variant, where in Dragon Ball Z, Goku defeated Frieza, and which is still a selectable as a map in its own right, meaning that you can play as the destructible areas or maps. Once you destroy them, you can play them, you can choose them on the actual map screen, map select screen, and it looks like you can burn grass. I'm assuming you can burn trees and shrubs, which to me, fantastic. Honestly, I would have taken a step further and had it be when you hit water with some of the beams, you'd get like evaporation of the water. That would be great if they added that in there. Destroy parts of a scenario in the Budokai Tenkaichi series also has a strategic function, since you can only lock the camera on the opponent if the opponent is visible on the screen. One can hide underwater, behind a building or a hill, waiting to recharge the energy or in the hope of catching the enemy from behind. This is what happened during one of the battles against Vegeta in 8 version, who despite his enormous size managed to disappear from the frame and hide until the end of the fight, perhaps behind a mountain or in the depths of the lake. Where the hell is giant ass Vegeta going to be hiding on the map? Like, I'm wondering where he hid. I mean, they said behind a mountain or water. To me, that means the map is huge, like astronomically huge. I think that this is going to be some of the biggest maps we've seen in any Dragon Ball game, without including Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, because those maps are huge in that game. But I think this might be either equal or give it a run for its money, to be honest. Online and offline. Unfortunately, it is especially against large enemies or when you are in a very specific point of the map that the camera struggles to frame the scene correctly, which makes sense. It happened in the original one, making the combat difficult to read. It shouldn't be a big problem in split screen multiplayer, as the only arena available at launch will be the Desolate Room of Spirit and Time, which is something that they added after the fact because they knew players wanted to jump into a split screen multiplayer, and so they added that for the fans, which is great. Honestly, they should have thought of that beforehand, because I feel like that's something that's missing in current gaming, like having a split screen. But I'm glad that they even added it after realizing their mistakes. Furutani confided to us that he would personally like it if they could overcome the technical limitations in the future and allow local multiplayer to be played on the maps as well. But for the moment, at least officially, he can't say if it's something that will happen. No limitations on this type instead as regards online multiplayer, although even that is still to be tested. Perhaps the most competitive community wondered if the game would use a rollback netcode, always very welcome among fans of online fighting games, but the producer confirmed that this is not the case, meaning that like they're struggling to do like a local type of multiplayer. It is also true that an important slice of Budokai Tenkaichi fans is mainly interested in offline content, and if in Los Angeles we had confirmation that the collection of Dragon Balls will return, useful for unlocking new characters, also taking a look at the new story mode, during our chat and Furutani we managed to get a couple of other details confirmed. First of all, not only will the Tenkaichi tournament return, a pillar of the series and a mode always much loved in Dragon Ball fighting games, but as in Budokai Tenkaichi 3, there will be several variations of the tournament, each with its own rules. Please, Tournament of Power. The producers did not go into too much detail, but given the massive presence of the characters from Dragon Ball Super, we are ready to bet that among the different options there will also be the Tournament of the Universes or the Tournament of Power. Great. Bad news instead for those hoping for the return of Mission 100, the survival mode that added spice to the single-player experience of Budokai Tenkaichi 3. In Sparking Zero, there will be no option with 100 challenges, explains Furutani. By fiddling around, however, you can customize the bonus battles to have a similar experience. It will not be possible to reach 100, but still you can set a good number of enemies. For a while, we had been discussing whether to bring the old mode back in, but I think the bonus battles will eventually offer more variety, which, okay, we win some, we lose some. The last information we were given concerns the character select interface, which until now was thought to be only provisional for the purposes of a demo. In reality, Furutani confirmed that in the final game, the menu dedicated to the roster of fighters will not be very different from what has been seen so far, which will make more than a few turn up their noses. I like the new menu. I think it's cool. I think it's cool that you kind of like jump into your map with the menu. I think that's awesome. Not only is the current interface more bare and colder than that of Budokai Tenkaichi 3, which had illustrations drawn for each character, but it also seems impractical and functional. The previous chapter of the series had drop-down menus that merged the different transformations for each fighter in a single space. In this case, however, every single transformation of a character is side by side, making the list very crowded and difficult to navigate, let alone when you have unlocked all the fighters in the final game. However, Furutani anticipated that filters will be added by the release to help better navigate the different pages of the roster, although to understand what they consist of, we'll have to wait a little bit longer, which, I mean, come on. You already know how they're going to change it up. You already know how they're going to filter this stuff, and you already know what they're going to do. So there's really, I mean, you've played Dragon Ball before. You know what character you're going to get. So this is not really an issue for me, but this is the end of the article. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of all the news that we just got for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. This is going to be BlackScape signing off. Take care, guys.
Subscribe for more content.